I feel like with you guys, the brand of Channel 5 is more about dipping into a lot of different subcultures and revealing the intricacies of weird things going on in America or beyond. So that's like with the Crip Mac thing, I kind of felt like, oh, that was like the most extreme, most funny version of that you're ever going to find. You might as well just do that coverage and then just keep it moving and find something else interesting, right?
Yeah, because we have to cover, a bunch of different subcultures at one time. So we wanted to find someone who we felt embodied, like, at least that subculture in the media sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And he brought the fun and the life to that kind of thing too, which a lot of people it's just not. Like, he was just having too much fun.
Yeah. I love that guy.
Yeah.
I love him too.
Yeah. He's a complicated guy to be around though.
I had him give a shout out to my mom for her 55th birthday, and he gave a really sweet message.
Right.
I think he said to sit back and enjoy a nice soap opera.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he thinks Nick's mom wants.
Yeah.
Soap opera. Wait, but a lot of people think you really like got your ass beat by him, huh?
So annoying.
Yeah, well, I kind of edited it to make it look that way.
Crip Mac punched Nick's camera, a Z90 documentary camera, because Nick didn't back down. And he swung his hand with the camera toward Crip Mac. Crip Mac intercepted the camera, smashed it, and then that was the end of the shot. But we made some merch that says "No Custers," where there's a picture of Nick getting punched in the face by Crip Mac. So now whenever we travel, people see me and they say, "Yo, where's the guy who got his ass beat by Crip Mac?"
And so real quick, that shirt, a member of my girl's family, who I would say is not like a super hardcore hip hop fan, maybe a bit closer to the normie side of things. I saw him wearing that shirt at a family function, and that's when I really knew that you guys had helped take Crip Mac to the next level.
Yeah.
We were in Hungary, and there were an entire bar full of people saw me, and they were like, "You're the guy that got punched in the face."
Yeah,
it
was a Marxist bar
Yeah.
in Hungary where there's like statues and photos of communist heroes everywhere, and they're like, "You're the guy who got beat up by Crip Mac."
Yeah, yeah.
And
Also,
at that point, we realized we had maybe,
Insane.
Yeah, in the elevator in Dubai on the layover, also.
Yes, he looked at
Random
you and
guy.
said friendly fade or something.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we can clear the air.
Just said friendly fade.
Yeah, I'm glad we can finally clear the air. Nick
Yeah.
was not struck even one time.
Didn't get beat up.
Right.
Definitely didn't get beat up.
When you see that like 3 million views or whatever that video is at, you really don't know who the fuck is watching it.
Every human being.
I've been in a lot of YouTube videos, I'm gonna be honest with you, that got, 1 million views, and I never had anybody say anything to me ever. Like from like other YouTubers, do some collab with them, whatever. And it gets 1 million views. I never hear a word about it. And then sometimes I'll be on somebody's channel and it's like everything that anyone says to me for months.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Back to what I was saying though, and like, I don't mean this in like a confrontational way. I'm just actually wondering, like, do you feel any responsibility for like inflaming like gang beef by having so many gang members use this platform to promote themselves?
No, because I feel like this is a hip hop platform that long ago has kind of been clear to me that that's more or less the gist of what we're doing, And it's like when we have brought in, like there was a long time where I didn't do any street shit, in the beginning it was mostly like SoundCloud type stuff and more like avant-garde, internet shit. And then, over time we bring AD and T-Rel and all these people in and they're bringing more LA artists on and stuff. And, we do end up, we've gone more in that direction and like a lot of, like, it's also the direction rap's gone in.
Yeah.
In the sense that like, if anything, we have that conversation of like, do you see rap getting past the street stuff being the vast majority of hip hop at any point? And it's weird to me that people seem like they've kind of shut the door on that in their mind. I'm used to seeing hip hop be so cyclical over the years that to me it's kind of, I can imagine rap being less focused on that at some point. But it's like if we're gonna accurately cover hip hop, that is a very large percentage of like, relevant hip hop music is gang related. When you look at like pretty much every scene that's coming up in America, whether it's like Chicago or Brooklyn or the Bronx or even like a lot of the stuff that's really popping out of Atlanta and stuff, it's pretty like unavoidable to be able to hit on people who are doing street stuff. Even if you don't know, you end up finding later that they're like the situation with YFN Lucci and YSL. I mean, like when I interviewed YFN Lucha, I had no fucking clue that his shit was like that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like you kind of have to, because there's so little in rap that doesn't also touch on the street shit.
Do you feel like that the shift in that direction had to do with sort of the death of the SoundCloud era?
Well, I think when you look at SoundCloud rap, it was basically a lot of, and not 100%, because there's like a lot of different stuff that fell under the SoundCloud umbrella or whatever. But if you look at like Lil Pump and Smoke Purple, to a lot of people, that's kind of like that was SoundCloud rap. I mean, they're talking about crazy ass, shoot 'em up, bang bang, street shit, and drug shit. Mm-hmm. And the drug shit was for sure real, but the violent stuff, you know, it's more performative, I would estimate, for the most part. And then like right after them, you kind of see them get sort of like replaced by dudes like, you know, Youngboy or Dirk and all these guys who realistically, they've all got cases. They've all fucking, you know, it's out there that they're probably more in the streets than a lot of the SoundCloud dudes, you know?
Yeah.
And I think now at this point with the internet and stuff, it's like the expectation of authenticity is so strong that it's kind of like hard for you to imagine a rapper pop off talking about gangster shit unless he actually had something that he could like point to, some kind of proof or some kind of affiliation or whatever. It's like they kind of need that at a certain point because the audience is so trained to want to poke holes in your story.
So why do you feel like that change happened?
I think the audience just consistently just becomes more nuanced and more educated, and they know what they're looking at more and more. And with the rise of the YouTube documentary, which I think is like about rappers and whatnot and street shit, which I think is kind of like a under talked about phenomenon in terms of how much that has changed shit and changed like people's understanding. Like if you were talking about gang shit with the Chicago shit in 2011, 2012, you know, like you could figure out shit, but it was not so easy.
Yeah.
Now it's like all 100% out there.
So you feel like the rise of like independent fact-checking YouTubers whose like sole mission is to prove if a rapper's like fake or real has caused in turn the industry to shift to like prefer like real people?
I would say that's just one of many factors that has sort of like led the consumers to become so much more well-versed and so much more curious about what they're looking at.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, there's just a lot more rappers in general. Like 2012, like how many Chief Keefs were there? I mean, it was pretty much just like him and his friends, right? And then now every city has people who are kind of inhabiting these archetypes, right?
Yeah, we just went there to O Block as a part of our documentary that we're doing on the Chicago Rap Festival. We talked to Boss Top a lot about like the early days of drill. And just how it like spread to the entire world, and now that seems to be like the most popular type of rap music. Like even if you think about California, right? Like Stockton and Sacramento music that's popping. That's pretty much drill.
But there's two different like ways to define drill too, right? There's kind of like the sonic element, which is like every artist out of New York these days is like basically trying to sound like, you know, it's a sound, and then you have like drill, meaning dudes talking about all this street shit and who got shot and they're putting all this like super real content, because the Stockton shit doesn't necessarily sound like the fucking Pop Smoke records or whatever, but they're talking all this super real street shit. That's what makes it drill, right?
Stockton, Jacksonville, Brooklyn, Detroit, Chicago, you know, most modern rap scenes that I can think of that are super viral, all the lyrics are about murder. And there's people making documentaries immediately after the songs come out, putting, you know, faces behind the lyrics, especially with the Jacksonville thing. You know, after the, you know, the Julio, Youngin Ace shit. Some of the documentaries that came out as a result of like the Who I Smoke song and the shit that went back and forth like really blew my mind. It made me realize like, goddamn, like they're rapping about like people who just died.
Right.
Dozens of people.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was insane for sure. That was some of the weirdest shit I ever seen. Like, I remember Brandon Buckingham went there and he did interviews with like kids hanging out at the store, and just like asking them what they thought about it. And it was, I mean, it's revealing, because that's a side of it that you don't get to see. Is like, how did the people who are around here who feel like there's a decent chance that they could get hit by a stray bullet, how do they feel about all this? Yeah,
it's interesting too, because like, you know, Peep and X, which is like two of the biggest interviews you did in the early SoundCloud days,
right?
Those were, you know, adjacent to like the underground like rap world that had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
And those were #1 guys.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that could ever happen again.
Yeah. Because, all right, in terms of like the cyclical nature of rap, I always think about when 50 kind of got phased out and replaced by Kanye, and you see this whole new thing emerging in rap where you have somebody who's like entirely non-violent, who's just super interesting and more into fashion and street shit or whatever, and then you see Kanye, this historic thing where he sells more records than 50, and then 50's career doesn't necessarily ever really fully recover from there. I mean, you just kind of wonder, like, is there a avant-garde artistic rap star who could come out and cause a cultural change so much that it would actually impact, or is there anything that could happen that would like disincentivize violence, or like talking about violence, or making your song so themed around that? Like, what could possibly happen in the culture that would make that less of a thing?
Maybe there could be a resurgence in like a horrorcore music where the rappers just lying about like school shootings and like shit, like Eminem style,
like ghouls and monsters.
Yeah, like slaying demons and sci-fi shit. I mean, really, you remember that era? Imagine if someone did a fact-checking documentary about one of those guys.
Yeah, did he really?
Did Eminem actually kill his wife? Because here's a picture of her alive, and all the comments are like, "Fuck this fool, he's a poser."
Yeah, like what if rap was more like death metal? Where
Yeah,
like
exactly.
every song is about like dismembering somebody.
Yeah, like fantasy.
But you haven't. Everyone assumes you haven't dismembered anyone.
What does dismembering mean?
It's like removing your member.
Yeah, for
Or
years,
some members.
For most of my life, I thought it meant to kick someone out of like a private circle, like you're no longer a member. And I always wonder why it was included with decapitation. And
It's
whatnot.
like ripping someone from head to toe. I'm pretty sure. But you go through a death metal phase.
No, I've been a rap fan my entire life. Actually, I liked Metallica and Incubus up until I was like 9.
Right.
And then I think an Eminem show, and then like Jay Dilla instrumentals, Kush and Orange Juice mixtape, State versus Radrick Davis, Flockavelli, took over my entire thought patterns.
Right. Because sometimes I think about how I'm gonna explain to my kid what is going on in a lot of these songs.
You're gonna have some explaining to do.
Oh yeah. And one thing I always think like I could maybe go back to is because I listen to Misfits a lot for some reason. That's just become like the main punk band that I still actually listen to. And I listen to their lyrics and I'm like, well, what the fuck are they talking about? They're talking about a bunch of stupid, made up, ghoul, Halloween shit.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna try to convince my kid like, oh yeah, like Julio Fulio's talking about shooting somebody, but he's just playing. He's just joking around.
People should make angsty drill music about their own families. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After being grounded or something like that.
Right. I think a big part of it too is like to be a Juice WRLD is very hard. To be an X is very hard. To be a drill rapper seems a little bit more. It's right there for you to grab.
Yeah, totally. If all else fails.
All right, people, we just hit 300,000 subscribers. You know we're trying to hit 400,000 subscribers. So that little red button, tap it, tap in. We appreciate y'all.